Good morning, Chairwoman Chang-Diaz, Chairwoman Peisch, and members of the committee. My name is Jessica Tang, and I am the professionals of the Boston Public Schools. I'm here today with representatives from the City of Boston as well as the Boston School Committee because we are working in collaboration to support the 56,000 public school students in Boston, and the need for funding is an issue we all know is vital to the success of our students. The decline of state funding for Boston has had a hugely detrimental impact on our ability to serve many of the state's neediest and most vulnerable students. As you know, and thank you for your work on this, the Foundation Budget Review Commission has found that we are underfunding public education in this state by $1 to $2 billion. State Chapter 70 funding, while slightly increasing, is not keeping up with rising costs and have been stagnant for Boston. The result in Boston has been a significant decline in the percentage of funding that the state has contributed from over 30% 10 years ago to less than 20% today. And while the City of Boston has tried its best to fill the gaps each year and overfunds the expected city contributions, the city cannot continue to fill the growing gaps from the state in a sustainable way year after year. These funding deficits are further exacerbated by unfunded state mandates that are subject to appropriation, including special education circuit breaker funds, the McKinney Homeless Students Transportation Funds, and of course charter school reimbursements. The latter, underfunded for several years, is being underfunded again this year to the tune of $76 million. Underfunded charter reimbursements alone have already deprived VPS of $48 million over the last 3 years. Money that our schools desperately need to provide supports for special education and ELL students, staffing for social emotional learning, and access to learning opportunities that all of our students deserve. The impacts of the loss of funding are very real and impact our students in ways that are absolutely unacceptable. You'll be hearing testimonies from BTU educators as well as Boston parents and students about the harmful impacts of underfunding our schools. The recommendations of the FBRC need to be implemented to reflect the realities of equitable school funding today, more than 2 decades after the 1993 ed reform legislation. That is why we support Senate Bill 223. However, this bill alone would actually be regressive for Boston due to the current funding formula that Mr. Locanto just described that assumes higher contributions from city property tax revenue than is impossible in reality due to the 2.5% cap, as well as the fact that 50% of land is not taxable as a result of the high number of nonprofits, including universities and hospitals. It is imperative that Senate Bill 223 also be passed with its companion legislation of Senate Bill 220 that acknowledges and caps the municipal revenue growth factor for cities and towns such as Boston, but also Howland, North Adams, Wareham, and others that would also be affected. In order to implement the FBRC's findings, the state must find new revenue. The Fair Share Amendment, while not sufficient alone, is a concrete solution and a start that the BTU strongly supports. Last fall, Massachusetts residents in cities, suburbs, and rural areas overwhelmingly rejected Question 2, a divisive and poorly conceived ballot initiative that would have crippled public education school funding across the Commonwealth. The takeaway from that battle was very clear. Residents throughout Massachusetts believe in public education and very much care about the future of our schools and students. The legislature has a responsibility to the students and families in Boston and throughout the Commonwealth to find the revenue to equitably and fully fund our schools. The federal public school funding landscape paints an even darker picture, with Massachusetts slated to lose up to $214 million in federal funding and Boston close to $8 million just for Title I and II funding under Trump's proposed budget. In Boston, the school committee, Boston Teachers Union, the city leadership, our parents and students are united on 220 and 223 because we know that we will be faced with year after year of difficult budget decisions for the foreseeable future if our state does not take action to reverse what has become a regressive funding system, particularly for the communities with the greatest needs, and to take action to prevent further deterioration of our local school systems from actions taken by the Trump administration as well. Please report 220 and 223 favorably from the committee. Thank you, and I'll pass it on to Eleanor.